So, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I enjoyed the Broadway Up Close tour, and so I'm super excited to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
And so, for the first part, can you please explain a little bit about yourself for those who don't know who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Brett Miller. I'm an actor based in New York City. Um, for the past 2.5 years, you can see me and still in Friends the Musical Parody off Broadway, giving out 55 How You Doings a week, I like to say. But I've also I've done that. I've done some Star Kid-esque work through a production company that my roommates and I founded called Official Sidekick Productions. So we're in the midst of rehearsals right now for our next production, which is the unofficial stage adaptation of Barbie's Three Musketeers that we'll be doing in the New York Theater Festival in February. Did a Batman musical through that got popular during the pandemic once we posted it and such. And so yeah, I've done a lot of musical work on that front, do some background work here and there, and that's how you know me now. But I'm also a Broadway Up Close walking tour guide. I do 4 out of our 7 walking tours with Broadway history here in Times Square.
That's awesome. And so, what was your audition process like for Friends, the musical parody?
Yeah, it was it was pretty straightforward. I graduated in 2021, so I was literally on like the edge of the pandemic having and everything shifting in the audition process because of that. So I graduated and then there was a brief moment where not a lot was happening and then everything was self-tape and self-tape and self-tape. Now we have a bit of a blend in 2024. But at that point it was just videos and like maybe you would get called in person for like the last callback or second to last. So I'd been going months of like what I ended up doing for a minute there is I had like 7 tapings for the Hairspray tour for Link Larkin, like just over months and months and months, just not getting that one. And then I had auditioned. So the writers of Friends write a lot of parody musicals. Have done like a 90210 one, a Full House one. They also wrote. There's The Office that's running now, Singfeld that's running now. They also wrote a Love Actually parody that they had done before, and they were going to do it again for the holiday season towards the end of 2021. And I auditioned for that, thought I made a really great audition tape for it. Found out I had not so bad of a Liam Neeson impression. Found out I had a Professor Snape impression. Like all these things that I was like, oh, okay, this works. And they messaged me saying, "We loved your tape, but we would love if you were to film for as well our Friends tour that's going out right now because they were about to send the show on tour." And I said, "Sure, I can see the materials. I'll take a look at it." And they sent it to me, and I was like, "Hey, Joey's supposed to be a tenor. That's not me. Do you still want me to film this? Do you want me to try? Just like give you what I have, like whatever." And I didn't really get a response, and this was all digital stuff. And so I sent it in anyway. I read for it, sang the highest song I had, and nothing. A friend of mine gets booked on this tour. They're about to go. They start rehearsals and all this stuff. And then for some reason it falls through at the beginning of the next year. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. And then I see a posting for Friends of Musical Parody off Broadway. And I was like, okay, it's the same people. Why not? It'd be funny. What if I just submitted for it? And I submitted for Ross because I was like, I'm gonna be Ross. Like he's the lower voice in all of this. That's probably who I am. And I got a call back, and I was like, oh. And it was an in-person callback, which was the first one I'd been able to go to since graduating. And I was like, all this time I've been doing all these virtual auditions, and I know the first time I physically step into a room, that's going to be the thing that I book because I was not feeling great about my self tapes. I knew that when I go into a room, my adrenaline just kicks in, and if I know my stuff, it's going to be better and just really good. And so I walked in we did the auditions in the theater center on the Perfect Crime stage. So it was like the most like old Broadway experience ever because now we do it in little tiny studios down on 34th Street and nobody does it in their theaters anymore. So I go into the theater, I do this whole callback. They call me in for 2 days later as Ross again. And I go in that next day and read the Ross sides once. And they're like, that was great. Can you go outside and grab the Joey sides for us? And I was like, sure, yeah. I found out later they had cast the Ross I ended up working with about 40 minutes earlier, but they were like, we still really like this guy. What do we do? And so I went outside, grabbed the Joey sides, came right back in. They said, before you read any of this, can you say the line? And I went, how you doing? And they went, hmm. And I was like, I think I just booked that job. And so, yeah, I read the sides and they asked me if I'd watched Friends, and I talked about how I kind of grew up with it, and my mom watched it religiously, so I'd seen most of it just out of order. Um, and the very next morning got the offer, and then that was that. And so I was completely right. First in-person audition, booked it, and here we are 2.5 years later still doing
That's
it.
great. So, Friends and Musical Parody, is that just like an episode of Friends, but a musical, or is it?
Oh gosh, it's all of them. It's a 10 season show with like 22 episode seasons. So they really took some of the most popular bits. It also comes into like when you make a parody from experience, having made a Batman parody, like there's really weird laws and loopholes with like what you can reference, what you can use. Like we can't sing Smelly Cat, so we sing Smelly Mom, but she almost sings Smelly Cat, and we yell at her, and we're like, they're gonna sue us. And so the writers took the overarching thing of having Ross and Rachel being the couple that everybody really gravitated to. People like Monica and Chandler, so they show up as a couple in Act Two as like an A love plot, B love plot kind of thing going on. And then Joey and Phoebe are just kind of there being their weird caricatures that they are. Yeah, I mean, you make sure you get the catchphrases in, you make sure you get some of people's favorite bits in, some of their favorite references. There's times when us as the actors have a little bit of room because the audience is so close to us and so involved in it. We're like a really close like thrust stage. So like they'll make comments and like they'll know the line that's coming and say the line, and we can be really interactive with them and drop another reference and things like that. So it's like a huge highlight reel of all 10 seasons with like definitely not every single thing from the show, but God, an impressive amount for an hour 45-minute show.
That's great. And I mean, the good thing about a parody is you're able to break the fourth wall often. It's like you don't have to stick just to being on stage. You can interact with everybody.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things because I have kind of come to realize that like a huge part of why I love to perform, not just in musicals, but as like a musician or as a dancer or like in any format with an audience, I do it because I want people to have feelings, to have some like strong emotion, happiness, joy, sadness, anything. I want it to affect those people in front of me. So I love being able to have that room to like when someone makes a joke, look out and be like, what did he just say? And like look directly in someone's eyes, which some people absolutely hate in the audience, but when they love it, it's the best feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you've mentioned that you work on a Star Kid like production.
Yeah.
And so what is the process for creating a new parody?
Oh wow. Um, it's a different process every time. So like kind of what we have become is that we're more of what we call a pastiche, where we're like almost parody, but we're making fun of it a little bit, and there's humor in there, and it's like our own version of it, but it's like still a legal parody in a way. So like when we did Birds and Bats, the first version of that we're just a bunch of comic fans, as you can see my giant stack of comic books right here. And my roommate had loved these characters and was a DC fan, but like all of us together, there was three of us that like really kind of super fell in love with these characters again of the Batman family and like all of his sidekicks and all of this stuff. And so we kind of like rekindled that love and found new things about it with each other and really discovered that together. So they took it upon themselves to comics have a lot of storylines and they have a lot of things that are canon and not canon and a lot of choices that become canon, but we don't like the reasons they were originally written for or the tones that they had because they're like 50 years old and like kind of tone deaf in modern day. And so they took all the best parts of those characters and reframed them into a story that kind of gave the general audience a here's what makes these characters who they are, because spoiler alert, we kill Batman in the first number, but he's not always ever dead. That's Batman for you. But it's mainly about the kids, it's about the sidekicks and about a found family. And so we took that story, made fun of it just enough, and made sure we didn't break any copyright law to not get sued, and then had just like, I mean, at the bare minimum of it, just a funny play that adapts these comics in a way without being able to have to ask Warner Brothers permission. And so we got to show our love for the characters. We got to, in that process, in most of our processes for our musicals, I've so far been at least the music director. If not for Birds and Bats, I was also the orchestrator. So like my friend that's the writer would work with my other friend that was our dramaturg and like the like encyclopedic knowledge of these characters, and they would put some lyrics together, have a little bit of a melody, know that it sounds good to a singing voice, and then bring that to me, and I would set it into a song structure, layer all the instruments into it through GarageBand, like make it sound like some sort of theme and tone that we were going for, which is somewhat 90s boy band, because all these characters really had their heyday in the 90s for these sidekicks. And so it was this long process of, we're very collaborative as theater people. We bring in new people all the time with every production that we do that like don't realize all of a sudden like everybody has a say in everything, and there's obviously lines, but like we want everyone's ideas and we want it to grow that way because that's the only way we actually get the best ideas. So my roommate, who's always the writer, occasionally director, there's a couple of other director friends of ours, a couple of other writer friends of ours. It's a super collaborative process for us where we're taking what are the core lessons of this story, and then how can we enhance it? So like what we've been going through with Les Femmes Mousquetaires, the one we're doing right now, is that we did Barbie's Princess and the Pauper last year through this festival. So that one was just like a straightforward, unofficial adaptation, sing the songs they have, tell the story they have, recast it a little different, make the humor a little different, but not change too much of the soul of it. So there was a bunch of little kids still loving it. And then what we did with this one was we said, well, people love the Barbie stuff, but that one's like the strongest musical structure one that we have. So let's take the next strongest story that we love and bring in other Barbie music. So this one is kind of a love letter to all the rest of the home video Barbie movies where there's songs from all of the different projects. But we've taken this Three Musketeers story that wasn't a full musical and added these songs to it to enhance it, give these characters these wonderful moments. Maeve Kelly Baker, the writer and co-director, has done an amazing job. I think Rachel wrote some of it too, our other co-director, Rachel Baranski. But they've done an amazing job of taking these pieces that all have the core values of this Barbie stuff and like what we saw with the big Barbie movie of what it stood for. Those have always stood for all these years. So we took all that, put it all together in one big, really cool moment where they have just this incredible vision as a director and as a creative person that I feel like I can never live up to, and I'm just along for the ride of just like, they're like, hey, I think this works, I think this can happen, Mr. Music Man, how does that fit into the music measures? And I'm like, let's find out. And I work with my other roommate Andrew, who's an amazing musician, amazing guitarist, and our other friend Nick, who understands the music theory as well, but doesn't play any instruments. So between the three of us, we have like all the perfect pieces in this pie to be like the perfect one-man band, essentially, to put all this music together. And it's always been a really cool process to work through these, see why we're parodying these things, because none of the things we've ever done is just to make fun of something. A lot of the parody and comedy that we do still has a message, whether it's super deep or super serious or really like just kind of on the surface level. It always is led with humor and lightness, and never feels like doom and gloom, even though sometimes like the underlying subject could be doom and gloom. You're still going to laugh about it, and then afterwards you're going to be like, wait a minute, that was about this, but I was laughing the whole time. So yeah, keep an eye out for Maeve Kelly Baker and Rachel Baranski, amazing writers. Our other roommate who's been through all of it, Lee Symes, an amazing vocalist, an amazing actress. She played Batgirl, Barbara Gordon in The Birds and Bats, and her solo in Act 2 made me tear up every time. Like, it's just, I'm surrounded by a lot of amazing creative people that just are funny and have really good instincts and really know, like, why we should be doing this stuff, and we just make it happen, whether it's through crowdfunding or we get lucky enough to get selected for festivals and they just say, hey, you're very different from everything else, and we're like, we know, we're so funny, you never thought you'd get something like this. So yeah, I don't know if that fully answered every part of the question, but it's been a lot of different things over the years that I've been able to experience.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned that you give 4 out of the 7 brought up close tours. And so what is your favorite tour to give and why?
Oh gosh, it's always such a hard question. The easiest way to answer it is that from a year-round standpoint, because we always do our tours every year, all year round, is that the Hudson is the greatest because we go inside. But it's true. I mean, we have amazing stories from every theater on Broadway, all of the fabric of the people that have built this. Tim has done such extensive research to do his best to make you get that personal connection to understand how this all works the way it does and why it all works the way it does and why theater industry is as crazy as it is and as weird as it is, and there's actually a reason for every piece of that. But getting to go into the Hudson Theater, that's the oldest original theater on Broadway. It's over 120 years old, and still be looking at a lot of the same walls, though a lot of the same pieces of marble and stained glass and all this stuff that has been there for, not like one of the oldest things in the world, because of course across like in Europe and everything, you've got castles that are centuries old and in these ancient churches and stuff. But the fact that it's something so baked into American history and Broadway industry and music industry and television industry and the film industry. There's so much that has happened inside that building, and it's still standing a century and a half later almost. And we can still like basically be doing what we love and seeing what we love in the same spot that the likes of Elvis and Barbara Streisand and just like all these different people got to be in, and you feel that spirit. It's like a super inspiring place to be and an inspiring place to be able to walk in and give everybody that insight in the morning of never getting to see those parts of Broadway theater, and now you do, and it happens to be one of the coolest in my opinion. So that one has a really special place in my heart.
That's great. And so that actually opens up the question portion. But right here, I have the quiz that I gave Tim Dolan.
Yeah,
The
he probably did way better than
that
I'm about to do.
What's on Stage claims it's the hardest Broadway quiz.
Okay, all
And so
right.
he got a good amount correct, but then he also got a good amount incorrect.
Okay, I'm about
So
to completely fail then. Watch this happen.
so I'll ask the question, the non-multiple choice, but I have four options for each question. So if you're
Fantastic.
not able to get it, I'll give you the four options.
Love it.
Which Broadway and West End musical has the tagline "Believe" on its poster?
Believe. Was this Finding Neverland? No.
The
Okay.
four op Do you need the four options?
Yeah, please do.
The Prince of Egypt, the Book of Mormon, Ghost, or Sister Act?
Book of Mormon.
It's Ghost.
Really? You're kidding. All right. Okay, yeah, this is gonna be tough.
I don't think he did not. I don't think he got that one.
Yeah. Yeah, because Believe, I think of
You
there's a
would
song in Finding
uh,
Neverland called Believe. There's a song in Book of Mormon called Believe. It's
call I believe,
yeah,
yeah.
they're trying to trick us. All right. All right.
Which of these waitress pie names have we made up? And so this one I have to give the four
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
options. Marshmallow Mermaid, Red, White, and Blueberry, Got My Vote, Rhubarb Compote Pie, and Time to Say Goodbye Pie.
I think it's the fourth or the third one. The
The
my vote one.
the Got My Vote is the made up one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Time to Say Goodbye.
Oh my God. Okay. Gosh, I haven't seen that show since Jason Mraz was doing it.
Oh
That's when I
wow.
saw it. It's been a minute.
How often do you see shows on Broadway?
For me, it's not a lot these days. Between doing the two jobs, that Friends is a non-union off-Broadway show, so I get paid pretty well for what the production is. But I'm definitely like making enough to pay rent and be a little comfortable on top of that. So I don't get to shows super often, other than when we get some comps. Like working at Broadway up close is very helpful for getting some free tickets every now and then through like tour providers that bring groups in. Sometimes those people don't want to see the show and they say, "Hey, I saw Sweeney Todd in the back row of the front mezzanine in a $300 seat for nothing."
That's great. Yeah,
So you get those awesome moments. Last one I saw was Sunset Boulevard on one of those moments. But sadly, I don't get to go as much as I would like to.
I
I'm
love
definitely going to be
Sunset.
trying to
It's such
catch.
a good production.
What is it?
Sunset, I love it. It's such a good production.
Yes, yeah, the music is amazing. The vocalists in that show were so good.
For sure. And so this one is, which of these is not a name of a theater on both Broadway and in the West End?
Okay.
The Lyceum, the Ambassador, the Lyric, or the Palace?
The Lyceum.
The Ambassador.
Dang it. They get me because they have Ambassador Theater Group that owns a lot of their theaters over there.
Yeah.
These are tricky. I like it.
Which of these U.S. sitcoms has Lin-Manuel Miranda not appeared in? Modern Family, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Recreation, and How I Met Your Mother.
I'm gonna say, oh no. I've only watched one of these fully, and now I'm doubting myself because I think it's the one that I've watched fully. I'm gonna say Parks and Rec.
That is correct.
Oh, thank God. I couldn't remember if he'd done How I Met Your Mother or not, but I knew he was in the first two, so amazing, great.
Which of these numbers was cut between the original Merrily We Roll Along Broadway production and its 1994 off-Broadway revival? Growing Up, It's a Hit, The Hills of Tomorrow, and Opening Doors.
The Hills of Tomorrow?
That is correct.
Yes, I love Merrily. It's my favorite Sondheim, so
Yeah.
that was a pretty easy one.
Let's see. Okay. In what month did Everybody's Talking About Jamie play its first performance anywhere in the world? February, July, September, and November.
July.
February.
Ah,
Tim just took a wild guess on that one. He goes, I don't know that one.
yeah. One of my college roommates, freshman year, was obsessed with that show once he went to go see it, so I couldn't remember if he went when it first opened or not.
According to his own website, seeing which musical with his aunt convinced Cameron McIntosh that he needed to become a theater producer. Porgy and Bess, The Pajama Game, Damn Yankees, or Salad Days?
Porgy and Bess.
Salad Days.
All right. These are good.
Which cat is the first cat to sing angelical songs for Jellicle Cats?
Oh, I need the names on this one.
Demeter, Koi Copat, Munkin Munkenstrap, or Skimble Shanks?
Munkenstrap.
Correct.
Yeah. That was a pure guess, I'll be honest with you.
Which school was Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice's Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat first performed at in 1968? The Colette Court School, the Tabernacle School, the Woodland High, or the Orchard House School?
Tabernacle.
Colette Court.
Okay.
Because I think that was the same one it was filmed at for the pro shot.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
which of the four Gershwin children lived the longest? Ida, Arthur, George, or Francis?
Oh boy. Francis.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. All right.
Mon Prince est un chemin déjà is the original French name of which number from Les Miserables?
Master of the House?
Castle on a Cloud.
Okay. All right. Yep. I hear it now. My French is really bad.
Which show won the Tony Award for Best Musical despite containing no original music or live singing? The Will Rogers Folly, Contact, Fiorello, or Matthew Bowen's Edward Scissorhands?
Ooh. So Contact? Is that what you said?
Yes,
I think it's Contact.
correct.
All right.
According to Operation Yellow Ribbon and covered in the musical Come From Away, how many residents were housed in Gander, Newfoundland on the days following 9/11?
Oh crap. It's also one that I saw so long ago, but I just had a friend do the tour for a full year.
Oh, who was it?
I actually had three that were in the show. They were all covers. Um, uh, uh, Nathan. Oh God, I don't know why his last name is. I know three different Nathans, and they're all blending right now.
I know Nathan. Yeah, I know Nathan. I've seen
Yeah,
the
yeah,
show
yeah.
twice. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Nathan and his wife Miranda, and then we actually took care of their cat Frank for the whole year while they were gone. And then Drew Harvey, I went to college with
Oh,
and played in
nice,
a
nice.
band with
Yeah.
and such. Yeah, we were the tall guys at school. So yeah, but numbers.
I can give you the options, but
Yeah,
I don't know
please
if that'll
do.
help. Approximately 7,600, approximately 6,600, 5,600, or 8,600.
I'm gonna go 7,600.
6,600.
Ah,
They all similar.
I know.
What is reportedly the last number Roger and Hammerstein ever wrote together?
I feel like I know this, but I want to hear the options.
Something wonderful, Edelweiss, in my own little corner, some enchanted evening,
What was the first one again?
something wonderful.
I think it's something wonderful.
It's Edelweiss.
That's the other one I was vacillating between.
I
So
love
close.
Edelweiss so much.
So
Such a beautiful
close.
song.
Yeah.
And so this one you should be able to get. What is the name of the girl at the Amsterdam Theater?
Oh, Olive. Olive Thomas.
Correct.
There
I
we
was like, if
go.
you don't get this one, that's gonna be a little.
Embarrassing.
Out of the seven nominations, how many Tony Awards has Patty won? Patty LuPone.
Oh no. This is where my expertise fades. I always joke that I know all this history that I do on these tours, and then modern knowledge flies by my brain. Um, Out of seven, I'll say, I'll say it's a number. I'll say it's not been nice to her, and I'll say three.
Two.
I was on the right end of things.
Okay, this one is a modern musical, so should be a
Okay,
little easier if you've seen it.
yeah, let's
Which of
see.
these is not one of the names of Sophie's potential fathers in Mamma Mia?
Okay,
Bill, Eddie, Sam, or Harry?
Eddie.
Correct.
Mm.
That wraps up the interview today. I'd like to thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Timothy.